So Bernie Sanders. Yeah, we got to talk about him. Bernie Sanders. Looks like Trump, according to Bernie, is moving us towards authoritarianism. Now, the thing is, we've already been there, Bernie, but this is a full-on Trump derangement syndrome on CNN. And while I do have my concerns of overall the future of free speech, the future of what happens to independent media, and so much more, all this could have been avoided. So, yes, I know everyone's tired of Bernie. I get it. But we got to really call out the Democrats because, folks, again, the Democrats did have had numerous opportunities to address this issue. So first, let's play this video of Bernie Sanders himself. Take it away, Bernie. Why should we be afraid this time?
Into this, and what we do know is that there's a lot of people that still remain in the database, but as far as people who are actually getting payments, it was 44,000 who got payments according to an audit that was done in 2023.
Out of how many millions?
There's tens of millions. So when they say tens of millions, that would be
this is what we are dealing with. We're not only dealing with oligarchy, the incredible power of the very, very rich. We're not only dealing with a move toward authoritarianism, we're dealing with what is new to America. You know, politicians have always lied, nothing new about that. But the level that we're seeing right now, the big lie, over and over again, and it goes out, there's a big lie, and then it goes out on Musk's Twitter to several hundred million people, repeated over and over again. Now the word is out there, oh, people on Social Security, 150 years of age. Can you believe it? The whole thing is corrupt. It's broken. Well, where does that lead you, Caitlin? What's the next step? If government can't do anything, if Social Security doesn't work, if Medicare doesn't work, if Medicaid doesn't work, we're going to get rid of all of those programs.
Then why didn't you put any safeguards? Why didn't you stand up to your good friend Joe? Why didn't you fight harder during the 2020 primary? Why didn't you fight even harder in the 2016 primary? You had 8 years, Bernie, to really lead a strong political movement. See, there's a lot to be said about Donald Trump, and I get it. But see, Trump, since I covered political science, as someone who's been observing the Trump administration, he kept his political organization together. He started off in 2015, kept it going throughout his first term, and he kept it alive and actually had to fight for it to regain control of it from the other Republican establishment people throughout all the 4 years of the Biden-Harris administration, and used it and gained more ground in the 2024 primary and eventually the general election. Now, he kept his organization together. Bernie, let's talk about the R Revolution, the DSA, the Justice Democrats, the brand new Congress, every single organization that rose up in 2016. What happened to them? They died on the vine. They're no longer respected, or is that the enthusiasm surrounding them has evaporated. All that remains are nothing but glorified parades, and you even have Democrats saying on CNN, and even corporate media itself, saying the Democrats really don't have any gas left in the tank. They're not even looking at the progressive heavyweight champions anymore, Bernie. You're saying that you're afraid of it all being cut. Why didn't the Democrats fight for it, especially when they had a supermajority when Barack Obama was president? You had a supermajority in the Senate and House. That's what he had. He had it all, and he didn't do it. Why? Because he was a corporatist centrist, just like Joe Biden, your good friend, Bernie. You know, this political party, the Democrats, screwed you over. And yet you want to sit here acting all holier than thou, surprised that we are witnessing firsthand the rise of oligarchy. It's always been here. It's always been here. Which then leads to authoritarianism. Well, gee, I've seen a lot of people in independent media being censored, silenced, and suppressed. I'm seeing how our money is being used to bail out banks and corporations. And yet you, Bernie, stuck your neck out for your good friend Joe Biden, who's been on the wrong side of history. And you want to sit here and fan the flames of, oh, no, we got to be afraid of Trump. Well, yeah, I get it. But what were you doing before the potential Trump administration that we are witnessing right here? Okay, because you had time. Don't tell me that you didn't have time. You could have organized your following. You could have organized your people. Hell, a lot of people were asking you to fight, but you didn't do it. And now we got to be panicked and afraid. If there's truly going to be a political movement, you cannot have it be associated with the Democrats because they don't have a plan. Rewinding this again.
Then it goes out on Musk's Twitter to several hundred million people, repeated over and over again. Now the word is out there. Oh, people on Social Security, 150 years of age. Can you believe it? The whole thing is corrupt. It's broken. Well, where does that lead you, Caitlin? What's the next step? If government can't do anything, if Social Security doesn't work, if Medicare doesn't work, if Medicaid doesn't work, we're going to get rid of all of those programs and we're going to give it over to the billionaire class to run it.
That's what you think they're ultimately trying to do.
Yeah, at the end of the day, not only do
Social Security.
they want massive cuts to programs for the working class in this country in order to give tax breaks to the very rich, and then they want to move to the privatization of every important government agency.
Now, of course, this doesn't help when you then, and we talked about this as well, where CNN admitted that Democrat lawmakers in Congress are facing an uphill battle as to how they will advance their agenda without holding a majority in either the House or the Senate. The White House is also in GOP hands after the recent election gave it to President Donald Trump. CNN reported that Democrats are starting to confront their powerlessness as the president has come to office and has been executive orders aligned with his agenda, as well as working with GOP lawmakers to push legislation through Congress. The outlet said that they are essentially leaderless, with prospective future presidential candidates largely sitting back and allowing others to be the first ones to challenge the GOP and Trump. Democrats are hoping to counter Trump and the GOP with the upcoming mid-March budget deadline. But as Trump and Elon Musk work to cut back in different government agencies, the Democrats have been making attempts to show what is going on by gathering outside the buildings that those staffers are auditing, such as the infamous showdown at the Department of Education, or either that marching with protesters saying that they will fight. They will fight. Now, we did play a couple of videos of protesters marching on President's Day. Now, I'm speaking for myself, but it was pretty cold in Chicago on President's Day. I would not have wasted my day off marching or being part of a glorified parade, but that doesn't gain attention. And as I shown on the show, they're protesting in front of a private building. I mean, show me that same energy in front of politicians' offices and buildings. Show me that energy at City Hall. Show me that kind of fire and energy and anger. But wait a minute. A lot of those protesters were at brunch. They disappeared. But now I guess resisting Trump is now a cool thing because everyone gets put on their marching shoes and their pink pussy hats again. So there you go. At the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the Democrat lawmakers gathered outside to protest the Trump administration's attempt to cut its operations. We've got to do everything we can, every tool in the toolbox to oppose what is actually happening right before our eyes, said Representative Hank Johnson. Democrat lawmakers have made several shows similar to the appearance at the Department of Education, as well as at the United States Agency for International Development, USAID. New Jersey Senator Cory Booker, when asked what Democrats are doing to push back against Trump, clearly, this is a man that's driving an agenda that's breaking the law, violating civil service laws, violating common sense, violating fiscal prudence, and benefiting corrupt practices, like how the Democrats do. Booker said that Democrats need to pull every lever that you have on things that you disagree on, but later admitted that the levers that we have are limited. But at the same time, all of us share the lever of speaking out, of raising popular sentiment. So, in other words, they don't have a plan. They're not talking about Medicare for all. They're not talking about student debt forgiveness. They're not talking about investing in our infrastructure. They're not talking about ending the wars. They're talking about just resisting Trump. And I get it. Everyone's afraid of Donald Trump. If you're so fearful of this man, if you're so afraid of him, what is the cause of this fear? What do you think he's going to do? Because, see, the problem with Trump is that, unlike these other politicians who put on the mask of politeness, kindness, he doesn't have that. I mean, what you're seeing from Trump, it's nothing new. Everybody should know who he was. We've always known who Trump was. He's always been outspoken. He's always been this person. No one should be surprised by that. But I think a lot of people have collective amnesia because he used to be a good billionaire. You know, a good one, because he donated to Democrats. People forget that he was good friends with Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. People forget that he donated to many Democrat causes, that he was a diehard supporter of them. Same thing for Elon Musk. Same thing for a lot of these billionaires. And so now they're shocked and surprised because everything's crashing down around them. And the Democrats, in their blindness, in their arrogance, especially with Bernie Sanders too, there was a last chance opportunity for real political change, but we can't vote our ways out of this. We cannot. It is impossible to vote our way out of this. This is the only way we can do real change is for people to pull their own lever, to launch their own flare of resistance, and that is through citizen ballot initiatives and actually supporting and building movements and organizations not connected to Washington, D.C., and supporting third parties and independents. That's how you get real change. That's how you're going to do it. And the thing is, with the Trump administration and all the executive orders that they are signing, look, there's a couple of red flags that I'm seeing that has me concerned. And this is the first time in a long time where we've seen a government move so fast. I mean, there are so many stories happening. I mean, a little sympathy here for all of media, especially independent media, because there are so many things to break down and take apart because of what Trump and Doge are doing. There's a lot of corruption being revealed, but there's also a lot of smoke screens being shot up. So people aren't aware of just how bad things truly are. Democrats, you had the opportunity to really win key significant battles. Now, I can't help you. You're a damaged brand. Apparently, this recently happened, and I think it's only fair that we do talk about this because there's a lot of outrage and fear from the Democrats, especially Bernie. So real quick, this is a quick follow-up. Bernie just did an article on The Guardian. Isn't that special? Isn't that special indeed? So let's go ahead and talk about this here real quick because he's on the road for democracy. But wait a minute, Bernie. Wait a minute. Hold on. He did an article for The Guardian, but I'll be on the road soon, meeting with working class people across the U.S. Why? Trumpism won't be defeated by politicians inside the D.C. Beltway. It will be defeated by Americans coming together to say no to oligarchy, no to authoritarianism, and no to tax cuts for the rich. Sounds great, but we got a couple of people here. First of all, shout out to Sabby Sabs. You're copying Dr. Jill Stein and Kashama Sawant instead of working with them. Now, you were nowhere to be found during the Medicare for All marches or forced to vote. There were people struggling under Biden and were mute. GTFOH. There you go. Revolutionary Blackout Network, shout out to Nick, says we held a Medicare for All march in over 50 cities during the Biden administration, and you was nowhere to be found. You couldn't even be bothered to tweet about it. Now that the Republicans are in charge, you're pretending to care. Go F yourself, Bernie. Sam Husseini says, such a con man you are. How many millions have you gone through with nothing good to show for it? You just keep naive people locked into the DNC prison. And I also want to pull this up here. Shout out to Hotspot, man. Hotspot keeps on dropping banger videos here.
Just freaking out about Trump. So we need you to send us $5 right now so we can fight back, even though there's literally nothing we can do to actually fight back.
It's their government. What leverage do we have?
But we will use your money to put out more ads just like this one, where we tell you all the horrible things he's doing and pretend to be outraged. Now, you may be asking yourself, why do the Dems always have their hands tied while the Republicans seem to be able to do whatever they want? And the answer is, you, that's why. Yeah, that's right, I said it. You, because we're not a left party. We're not even a progressive party, and we're definitely not a socialist party. No, you see, as Democrats, we're actually a right-wing capitalist and imperialist party that occupies the space of where a real left party should be. And our main mission is to stifle any progress you workers might make by getting you to rally behind us, by publicly denouncing injustices while roadblocking any attempt to overturn them. That's why we say Black Lives Matter while funding the police, and why we call for peace while spending a whole lot of money on...
Please do not do any research on the history of liberals' alliance with fascism throughout the 20th century in places like Germany, Chile, and all over Latin America, or you may come to the conclusion that liberalism cannot reconcile its own contradictions, so they are eternally faced with the choice of fascism or the actual redistribution of wealth and power. And given that choice, they will either sit idly by on their hands while fascism takes away, or they choose fascism outright because that's what poses the least threat to their own privileges. And for the love of God, do not read Black Shirts and Reds by Michael Parenti, or you may realize that the Democrats are actually our biggest threat because for the next 4 years, they will convince anyone that wants to put up a real fight to simply donate and vote for them instead.
So send us $10 more because we may have blown $1 billion on Harris's failed campaign and still ended up $20 million in debt, but we sure know how to party. Lady Gaga was there. Can you believe that? I love her.
Now, real quick here, I actually got an email from the Democrats. They're asking me for $3. They're asking me to donate even higher than $3. Democrats are asking me to donate $3, $5, what? $25, $50, $100, $250. God damn it, give me money, Democrats. All right, you had $2 billion into your campaign. $2 billion. $2 billion for Kamala Harris and by proxy as well, Joe Biden. You had all that money. What'd you do with it? What did you do with the money? What did you do with the money? And here, hold on. First of all, shout out to this proud example here. Shout out to Social Emotional Learning with Dr. Donnie. Tip $2. Yes, 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 yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Donnie, for the $2 YouTube super chat. We are very grateful for that because, again, that's more constructive because Hardlands Media, as an independent media outlet, how many times have we told people about the Democrats and their hypocrisy, their fraudulent behavior, how they've been acting and representing the people, telling people, oh, yeah, we got to calm down now. We can't really do this. We're making excuse after excuse after excuse. And now they're shocked that Donald Trump is bringing a chainsaw to everything in Washington, D.C., when they had ample opportunity to do the right thing. Brilliant job, Democrats.
If you fool me once, it's because I didn't think a guard was needed. If you fool me twice, it's because I didn't learn the lesson, so it bears repeating. If you try the same play 3 times running, it's because you know what's coming, and you didn't come to lead, you came to purposefully be misleading. Democracy is dry, it's been a century bleeding. The husk is gaping open to the sky, out in the field where all the sheep just keep on circling and worrying and bleeding. They're waiting for the shepherd that they've tried to hide their faith in, but he's so appealing. They'd gladly give their fleece. It's such a freeing feeling that even when he leads them to the ledge and starts to urge them on, they're positively beaming. They were told that they were on their way to save democracy, so even as they plummet, they just gloat. They don't consider screaming. And halfway up the cliff, the shepherd's cozy little mittens wrap around the staff of shattered human hopes on which he's leaning. He shows the gentle grin that used to stir your inner spark, and he says, not me, us, as he gestures to the oligarchs. He knows that if he runs, they're going to stop him like a stolen car. And he'll easily surrender because it bought a lot of time for laying mines in all the grassroots. Suddenly, the tiniest of movements gets you blown apart. Suddenly, you're in a play that's set on an election day and voting for the fire, unaware you're playing Joan of Arc. Suddenly, the shepherd pulls the rug and slips a hood across your clueless mug and everything goes zero dark. I'm gonna warn you once more before it's 2024 and you fuck around and find out who your heroes are. To take a step back from the herd and you'll learn that you can spot who all the shearers are. If you really want to know the product that they're selling, I can take you where the mirrors are. If you think your voice is finally ready, I can tell you where the lyrics are. I hid them in a box I had to bury neath the cobble when they carpet bombed the promenade and raided all the street bazaars. Now all we've got's the marketplace, and you're too broke to even bother asking what the options for your treatment are. Suddenly, the raw debris of homeless human dignity will find it has 100 teeth for every badge and sweeper's arm. Suddenly, they speak in solidarity and each is armed. Suddenly, the sheep can see the shepherd for his truest form and all pitch in at once to help him buy the farm. And now it's zero dark, and all is calm and peaceful save the distant wail of sirens that approach beside the flames of dawn. Suddenly, the carrot's just a string that's on a stick, and all your movements make you sick because the prize is gone. Now we could go and flee into the forest low and meek, or we can exercise our right to feast and go and graze on Biden's lawn. Because he's been sowing seeds that seep a toxin out to sap a bit from each of us and keep on leaching decades after Biden's gone. So regardless who they summon out of hell to come and do the job, it will not feel like Biden's gone. But in that time of hopelessness, you cannot trust the shepherd when he once again comes asking you to humor him his siren song. And it's cute that you can innocently, honestly assume that's just a symptom of a system that was wired wrong, and not the standard feature, basic function, primary objective of a mass hypnosis firebomb. You don't need to know the words to cry along. Someday it'll hit you like an officer who pistol whipped their ride along. broke his jaw and kept his job and kept it moving right along. That voting isn't red or blue or black or white or right or wrong. Voting's like a firing squad where you can choose the firearm. It's slow extinction by and large. It's Super Tuesday supercharged. It's all your futures, roots and all, just tossed out on a garbage barge. It's everybody dropping out to push the biggest oligarch. It's everybody voting fire, registered as Joan of Arc.